So, hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of Nameless Comics podcast. We have with us Classic Comics India, Mr. Pranay, and we have even Neo Comics Dr. Manish over here. So, as you saw from our last conversation, we were talking about manga and anime towards the end of our podcast. So, we decided to make that into a full time podcast rather than just a sneak peek where we just talked a bit in the last podcast. So that's what our main talk will be about today. And I just want to give a disclaimer that my exposure to anime and manga is very limited. Also, my knowledge is also very limited because I have just seen very little compared to there's so much of content out there in anime and manga. So I just want to give that disclaimer out there, and that's why I think we're also doing this podcast so that there is many people like me who does not have that exposure or does not have an idea where to get into.
I think Pranay is the most knowledgeable in this regard among the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have read a lot of mangas. I have seen, I can easily say over 300 animes as well over the course of my life, maybe more. So
Mm,
I would say I have seen a wide variety of animes. I like animes a lot. I read a lot of mangas. Mostly they are something which is of action mangas. But then, I feel that if you have to cover a larger genre, then between the three of us, Neo Comics, you have Indian manga exposure. SK, you've got a lot of action popular manga exposure, and I've got like generic exposure as well. So I think we should be able to do a quite decent job of
conversation.
suggesting mangas. Yeah, yeah.
Before we go into our recommendations, what I want to know is like, what was your first exposure to manga or anime? Where did it like start for you?
I'll start with this one. My first manga which I read was Astro Boy. That's, I think, one of the first mangas or one of the first popular mangas written in the 1950s. And I had read that book when I was like a kid. I didn't know much about it. I wish I still had that manga with me. But that is basically a story of a robo who has feelings. He's like an AI who feels. He's very naive as well, and he has this generic tendency of helping out. And the way it was written and how he has these fights with other bad robos or bad guys in general, it was quite fantastic to read. And I think one of the first animes which I saw was properly, which I saw was Dragon Ball Z. I think there was this channel which used to come in India called Animax. They had this daily episode of Dragon Ball Z, which I used to follow. And post that, Naruto was something which I got into. And that, I think Naruto was one of the reasons why I got properly into anime as well as the reading of mangas.
For me, as you just said, that channel changed my life. Animax, it defined my childhood altogether, and I started with Inuyasha. Inuyasha was pretty good.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
very few people knows about it, and of course DBZ and Naruto is like the staple, the basics. If you haven't watched it, you haven't watched anime. Inazuma 11, an anime on football. So this used to
Yeah.
hook me a lot during those Animax days, and for some reason Animax was stopped telecasting all of a sudden, and then my touch with anime ended there for a really long time. It again, I gained back some interest recently, couple of years back when I watched Attack on Titan. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these ones are pretty relevant. Next, I'm looking forward to seeing One Piece because it's making the headlines everywhere right now. So I want to see
It's like one of the
what the hype is all
biggest
about.
shows. Yeah. So One Piece is something. It's one of
Recently,
the biggest shows. Just like what you said, right? That Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and the third biggest anime that you have to see is One Piece. So those three are like the cornerstones of all manga anime, most popular ones possibly in the world. Uh, the
right?
maximum amount of merchandise that gets sold would be of these three animes.
I also watched Death Note. I read Death Note as well. I watched Uzumaki and I read Uzumaki as well. Means I also love to see where the source material came from and how true and
Correct.
accurate was it. So I experienced both the media. There also used to be an anime on Godzilla, like if you remember correctly, the American version. Yeah, Animax actually was what had defined the anime experience for this generation in particular. As for manga,
True.
uh, I have very little exposure to the actual mangas from Japan, and all I have read is Junji Ito's works. Uh, that too, Uzumaki and another one. What's the name? Can you like help me out? I'm forgetting. Like the three main horror mangas by Junji Ito.
Yeah, I think Uzumaki is one of the most popular ones. Like I have
Yeah.
read that, and he also writes those short stories as well, which are horror stories. So recently, I think on Netflix they had one show called Junji Ito's horror anime. I
Yes.
don't
Yes.
remember the names of the manga, but Uzumaki
Gaio,
definitely
I
is
guess.
like up there.
The Death Note. So these are the only things I have read. Rest all are just Indian manga, and I'll get more into Indian manga as we progress with our conversation. What about
Right.
Skandan?
Me, so obviously, like my earliest exposure was we had Astro Boy and Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was like the talk in school. Everyone used to talk about it always. And then in between, I think it was in Cartoon Network or Pogo, Rama and the Legend of Prince Ram. That movie I had seen a lot of times. So that I loved seeing it a lot. And then I think One Punch Man in between my cousin had introduced me to it. So I had seen like the first 2 3 episodes of One Punch Man, but like it was nothing actively seeing anime or manga. I only started that only in lockdown with Makoto Shinkai's Your Name Kimi no Namaiwa. So that movie holds a very special place for me because it started my journey into anime and manga, and also his, his movies, the artwork, the storytelling, and the music. Like it's perfect 10 on 10. Like Radwim's music, if I listen even now from that particular movie, it will send me to a weird zone because I was like in a weird zone after I saw that movie for the first time. Like for 1 week, I was very weird. I was not talking to anyone. I felt in a very weird space. So it just speaks volumes about, as a movie and as a director, he did a very good job with it.
True. I agree. Like if that kind of impact any movie or a film can have on you, that's amazing. Like I had a similar experience, very non-anime manga, when I had first seen Sanjay Leela Bansali's Black. Like after coming out of the movie hall, I was with my at that time my girlfriend, now my wife, and like we didn't speak. We were just kind of lost deep in thought at what we had experienced. So it just says volumes about the content that the quality of the content.
And like this is like one of those movies or content where you don't normally very revisit them very often, not because they're bad, but because they're so good you don't want to get into that phase or that vibe again.
True, true.
That is exactly how the creators have succeeded in creating what they wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that in the last 20 years, manga and anime has had a tremendous influence on in India, and a lot of people are watching, consuming anime as well as manga. What do you guys think about the influence that it has? What role does a manga anime culture have in India?
Whoever says that reading culture is gone, they should see the numbers mangas are selling. And the number mangas are selling in India, there are so many pirated copies out there, both on Amazon and Flipkart, because they're selling so good. Who else? Why would I, make a pirated version of a thing which is not selling well? So reading
True.
culture is there, but it has crossly been shifted towards manga, then generalized reading of novels, short stories, the culture of literature or comic books in general. But manga is a very hot topic, India and global sensation right now and for the past couple of decades as well.
Yeah, I mean, like see, like I said, my exposure is very limited, but there's no denying of its impact that's been there in India from a very long time. I think it was, at like if you go back to the early to 2010s, in between there it was still budding in India, where only the niche fan base was, actively looking into it, and you had a very small cult group in India who was, like, up to date with the projects going on, who gathered up to meet. But now it's become spread all across the nation, especially after the pandemic, because pandemic was the perfect time when you could, sit and get exposed to such a big industry and so much of content that is there.
The children, like the school-going children, there is a trend that if they don't watch the current trending anime, they are not, cool enough to have conversations with others.
Peer pressure.
Trending and important it is now that you will have to be a part of this this thing to be the cool kid, else you are, not in
That's
the heart.
like kids, especially younger generation, is watching more of manga, is watching more of anime. A lot of kids are consuming manga, reading manga because it's also available free now. A lot of these sites you go and you can actually consume them free of cost. So people are reading more of it. Now, I don't know, like in the last 3, 4 Comic Cons, like this is my observation. I would also ask you guys this, whether you guys have observed it as well. More and more people who are dressing up and coming to these Comic Cons, they are all characters from manga, like Demon Slayer, One Piece. So many new Chainsaw Man. Oh my God! This year I saw so many people dressed up as characters from the Chainsaw Man anime. So more people are dressing up as characters. That also shows popularity of that genre. There. What do you guys think?
I absolutely agree with you because when I attended the Comic Con for the first time at Kolkata early this year, uh, say 70% of the cosplayers were cosplaying manga characters. And I could not figure out what they're cosplaying. Like 50% of them I was clueless. They look cool, but what exactly are they cosplaying? So I'm asking a couple of guys, and they're saying this is from that popular manga, and I'm a bit lost. But I do agree, and I do realize it has taken the entirety of India by storm. This manga and anime culture.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like obviously, if you go to a Comic Con, then Marvel and DC is the top in when it comes to pop culture. But outside of that, and outside the main characters of Marvel and DC, every other person you meet is doing some anime cosplay. And like Neo Comics said, I don't know half the time what they're cosplaying as. But like you've seen so many people do that, you figure out the pattern that okay, there's this one character of this design who's extremely popular.
Like the place where I work, there are so many people who are now dressing up, in manga t-shirts. Like, and you come to know, okay, this is the like what you just said. Jujutsu Kaisen is such a popular anime. You see them dressed, or they've got merchandise of those new animes which are trending, Attack on Titan, or it could be like what we saw currently, the Miyazaki trend which was going on. That it's catching on manga, anime. The biggest, I would say, the biggest proof is that Netflix is spending billions of dollars to produce original animes. Okay, and I think every year the budget that Netflix spends to produce original animes is increasing. Like for example, I saw this movie called Blue Eye Samurai. It is a mind-blowing movie. It's an original story and produced by Netflix. The animation quality is possibly the best that I have seen in a anime, like till date. If you guys have seen it, or if you guys have not seen it, then I would definitely recommend that this is something which should definitely be consumed. Like, so all of these various things kind of go towards very clearly stating that anime and manga are there to stay and are growing year on year. What do you think the perception is versus reality of anime and manga?
I mean, see, there is obviously like we there is a difference in the perception and reality of manga when it comes in India still. I mean, yes, today there is a lot more people who are aware, and a lot more people who are actively consuming this anime and manga. But still, if you majority of the people who don't know, they're like it's just Japanese cartoon. Okay, but those who have been into this content, they know there is so much diversity. Like there is the story itself, there is so much variety. You have a rom-com, you have the high school genre, you have action, you have like very raw and mature content, you have R-rated stuff. So there is like lot of content, and obviously there is cartoons as well. There's no denying that, but I think that's largely because these people who, when they say cartoon, they are exposed to that Doraemon or something like that, which they would have seen popularly in TV. So that is the immediate example that they can refer to, and that is why they probably are either not that interested, or they're like that they're not aware that there is much more than that.
I have like those who are really into animes. If you call an anime a cartoon, they get offended. They're like, how can you call this is not a cartoon? There's a difference. This is an anime. And I think one of the biggest reasons, which I think SKU also covered, is that the genre is huge. There is something for everybody. So there is romance, there is action, there is adventure, there is fantasy. There is this genre in the which is called isekai. Now that genre
Yes.
basically means a person from our reality goes into a fantasy world full of, either it could be a like Lord of the Rings kind of a world, or it could be a robotic sci-fi Star Wars kind of a world, and he has still the knowledge of his past life. Okay, so that isekai genre has become possibly one of the biggest hits in the last 7 8 years. Lots of mangas and animes are covering this new genre. So it's like there's a genre about food there, imagine that. Then there is a genre of horror, of course, is a big thing there. Then we've got etchi, which is like, where, well, there's a lot of nudity or art stuff which is going on. So they have like genre where there's a huge variety, and that's possibly the reason why it's appealing to people not just like in India but in Europe and USA. I think USA um, started consuming anime like 20 years before us, and they are still consuming anime. There are a lot of these Comic Con kind of shows that keep on happening. I had read one article which said that some anime market in USA and the world is increasing by 10% per annum, and it keeps on increasing year on year. That's like a amazing data point.
That so, which anime series or which manga in particular you would want to see more of? Like it is over, but you are still not over it. So, is there any such title or any such series in particular?
There is one legendary series called Akira. It's one of the top manga as well as anime. I think if you start collecting manga, then people want to collect Akira. So that was a 70s, 80s, one of the most biggest anime as well as manga. Possibly, I think the new generation wants to see it in a more better animated manner. So Akira, it's time for Akira to kind of come back. So that's one show which I think would be great if it came back. Uh, and from a manga point of view, I had read this manga called Happiness. I don't go by the title. It's actually a dark vampire story. This high school boy gets bitten, and how he recovers. It's pretty gory and violent, but the art was so beautiful. The way, I don't remember the name of the artist, but it was fantastic. I think an anime of that particular manga would be amazing. People would love that. It's a dark one, but it's got a lot of merit. The story is strong, and it's a finite manga that won't go on season after season as well. People will enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, one is I don't know if you've heard about Horimiya, but that is one manga and anime series I like a lot. But and for anime, there was 2 seasons, but there's still a lot more stories in the manga because I've read them numerous times. So I think one more season where they cover the other episodes, I would like that. But collab wise, like Rama and Legend of Prince Ram, I wish like if they collaborate with Indian storytellers, they can do for like Mahabharata or for Ponniyin Selvan, because for both of these the story is extremely elaborate. You can do it like 2 seasons, 3 seasons, or even 4 seasons, and with the modern animation style and technology, the content will really be good. So I would be interested if they actually do something like that.
Also interest the newer generations who want to get into the uh, our myths and legends. This would be a very catchy media to penetrate because we already have Ramayana.
Yeah.
but I don't think we have an anime version of Mahabharata yet.
I don't know
Yes.
whether you guys
So
remember, there was this on Doordarshan, this Jungle Book used to come. So
Mm.
that Jungle Book
yeah,
was
Jungle,
animated by the
Jungle,
Japanese team. That it had this beautiful song by Gulzar, that Jungle Jungle
गड्डी
Baat
पहन
Chali.
के फूल खिला है.
Yes, yes, yes. So that was an amazing collaboration, like what SK was talking about. Like it's an Indian story or Indian-based story, animation done by the awesome Japanese team. It was beautiful. That the whole experience was awesome.
For me, I would say Astro Boy. I used to love Astro Boy. The reason being, when I saw it for the first time, I was a child. And what resonated with me is that this is basically a story of a machine, but it is still such close to the heart, the innocence. Like it has more soul than uh, you would be expecting out of a machine, right? So if that extends, and right now we get to see a version of Astro Boy which is like an older one, and how he is dealing with the current situations, how he is interacting with the AI, because right now AI is a huge menace as people are considering it to be. So that would be really cool. Like it would be a fantastic comeback of Astro Boy. So let's get to the last topic, and that is what are the anime recommendations and manga recommendations you would give individually, like your top five must watch and must read.
I'll start with this. The first one I would say definitely is Demon Slayer. That I would say is one of the modern classics. If you have not started watching it, I highly recommend that you watch it. It's about this brother and sister, and like how the story has been woven. Like he starts off as a young, innocent boy who gets thrown into a world of chaos and demons and the whole environment that gets created where he meets friends, where he has to overcome the bad guys. He has to like practice and become like a I don't know whether there was this movie called 36 Chambers of Shaolin, where that hero practices like crazy to become like the top notch kung fu master. The same thing is for the hero Tanjiro here. He has to like try hard and become better and better, and he keeps on getting to face stronger and stronger foes. The story seems simple, but it is amazing, and the anime uses mind-blowing music. The background score, I think, is one of the best that we will experience. It kind of elevates the entire anime. So, Demon Slayer is the first one. Second is Free Ren. That's a show. Basically, it's about an elf who elves actually live for a very long time. So she was one of the team partners of the hero, and the hero had various aides. There was one warrior, one magician, one priest, a healer, etc. And how when they after a few years, once the hero has already passed away, the elf is going to the same places where the hero had gone, and there's a lot of nostalgia and there's a lot of heart, and it's about grief as well. But at the same time, you realize how beautifully a story can be actually woven. So Freerun is essentially a great story, and it talks about grief, it talks about love, it talks about how you as a person has impacted other people. You may not even realize it, but being nice and kind actually has its ripples flowing through time. So that's a new one which I would recommend. Then there's one action anime called Fable. It's about this very simple-minded top level assassin. He is the best assassin, and he gets assigned to take a break. Now you are not going to kill anybody, you're going to chill. And how he tries to manage his regular life, at the same time there are bad guys who are trying to get back at him. It's a brilliant anime. And lastly, I would say Death Note. That's one of the animes as well as a manga that you have to watch. I mean, there is this is like story which is one of the best stories that you will come across. So those four are the animes. From manga point of view, I would say there is this manga called Zom 100, The Bucket List of the Dead. It's
Mm-hmm.
a comedy, it's a romance, it's a zombie apocalypse,
Apocalypse. Yeah.
everything rolled into one.
Yeah.
So these are the various recommendations that I have.
I have quite a few. First one would be all Makoto Shinkai films. I'd say just watch all of them. They're all good. Then I would say you can watch Silent Voice, amazing film and amazing story that talks so much about puberty, depression, inferiority complex. It's an amazing movie. Similar to that is also I would say watch Eat Your I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. That's an amazing film as well. Then for anime series, I would recommend Horimiya or I Have a Crush at Work, which is a fairly new one, but both of them are really grounded rom-com stories that don't drag out anywhere. So I would definitely recommend those. And for action, I would say you can watch stuff like Spy Family, Sakamoto Days, Buddy Daddies, and Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. I just love all these ones because while there's action, there's comedy and there's emotion, and there's a good balance throughout.
I am very generic when it comes to mangas and animes, so I'll go with the only three I have read, as I just said. It's gonna be Uzumaki and Gaio by Junji Ito and Death Note. That's the only three true Japanese manga I have read. The rest all are Indian, and I'll get into that in a moment. As for anime, obviously Dragon Ball Z one of my favorites, and I'm a gym goer, so Goku Vegeta is what drives me as my pre-workout. Their workout, their videos. Attack on Titan, I loved it. And as for Indian manga, well, Indian manga, what I have seen is they are hopping in the trend. I would like to take a few names like Cosmics are doing pretty good job. They're bringing out a lot of varieties, lot of flavors.
Soul
As Pranay
contract.
was saying, they're also into that is an isekai manga, and it is being pretty well executed. There is this trio manga by Baivavi Studios. They are not only making manga, they are also making the anime as well side by side, and I hope we'll get to see that in a year or so. And there is also another new publisher called Kissa Comics. So it is basically comics, but the art style is manga. Even Alpha Comics, the one being spearheaded by Raj Comics, is now making a manga called Hanta, written by Sahilesh Sharma. What I personally feel is that although some of these titles are decent, it's good, you should give it a try. But a majority of these are just trend hoppings, and for lack of better example, what I can say is the treatment that our Ramayana got with the anime, it was epic, right? The essence of Ramayana is also there, and the anime style is impeccable. But when it comes to Indian mangas, what I feel is, although I have read very little manga, so I am not that eligible to be commenting. But what I felt is they are not doing the right kind of justice to the actual manga style of storytelling, right? Cartoon and anime are different, and similarly, manga and comics are different. So that demarcation is getting very thinned because the understanding of the medium is not that great. So we have to read more, we have to research more, see what is working, and not just jump on the trend, because just jumping on trend will not make your content widespread. You will have to give good content so that it competes with the content you are getting inspired from. So that would be my message. Publishers are trying hard; they are trying good. I have read almost every Indian manga that has been ever been published, like starting from Kaka, KA-KAA is the name. So it was the first manga made in India, till the ones that are being published today. But hardly very few of them are will be accepted by real otakus. So basically, our Indian publishers, they're trying, and I wish them all the best, and I hope they just keep getting better to the point where it also, like, their titles also stand side by side to the OG, the Death Note ones, and the Junji Ito stuff that was. So it would be a really proud moment that we are jumping into the media, the one that Japan made popular, and we are also doing justice to it. We are not losing the essence of storytelling. So that would be really great. If you want suggestions, I would say try out Cosmics. They're into isekai. They are making a manga on cricket called Boundary, fantasy genre, and a bunch of other stuff. Whispers of Void is there. There is Nirvana. A lot of titles. You can try out Trio Manga from Bible Studios. They are just continuing one title, but it's getting there. It's pretty good. So, and Kissa Comics, they are also pushing out a lot of content real fast. So these are the three I would say. And as for Alpha Comics, they've just taken out Hanta. So I would suggest, just two issues are out. So let it get completed first before
Hmm.
we jump in, like push it into the recommendations list. Also got a lot of insights about what I should be reading. As I said, my knowledge is not up to the mark. Thanks to Pranay bhai. I guess I'll take out some time and read some of the titles that he suggested and Kandan suggested, so that my knowledge and my exposure towards this media increases. I become a better judge of what the kind of content we should be expecting from mangas, be it Indian or international. And I hope the viewers also got a lot of important insights.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I think if anything, we have just expanded the fact that there's some, like how Pranay bhai said earlier, there's something for everyone. The genre is wide. You can take your pick. You have something for everything.
I mean, like, no wonder it's catching on like wildfire. In the last 4 or 5 years, only the number of people who have experienced manga and anime has grown. And we know that will keep on growing because the industry in Japan is producing like at least 20, 30 animes per season. So, like, they have seasonal animes there. And the 4 seasons, that is like every 3 months, they have one season of a manga. And every uh, season of that seasonal manga, they have 30 or maybe 40 mangas that get released. It just shows that it's growing and growing, and it's definitely here to stay and grow more.
So I think with that we have concluded our third podcast where we have now talked about anime and manga. I hope all of you guys like this content. You can obviously give it a thumbs up if you did like it. Share this with all your other friends who like anime or manga, or someone who you want to recommend anime and manga to. And of course you can subscribe to all of our channels. I've put our links in the description below so you can find our channels. So with that I think this video ends, and who knows, maybe for the next video we might have a guest, someone professional from the industry who we could have sit and chat with us. You guys can let us know in the comments if there's any particular topic or if there's any guest you would like to see up on our podcast here. And with that, I will catch you guys later.